Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am going to give it my best shot to create some Elementor JSON files. I've not done this before. I just played a lot with HTML files and creating some HTML pages for WordPress. And there's a request to figure out how to use JSON files and make templates, etc. for Elementor. So I'm going to give it a go here. Um, Let me give you a little bit about understanding about my environment here. So I'm working with Windsurf. It's like a cursor. It's like VS Studio Code. It's another what we call an IDE. It's a development environment for integrated development environment, I think is what it stands for. And I pay $100 a year for this. I bought it when it first rolled out. You can right now pick it up for $15 a month, and it gives you 500 credits. You can see down here there's some credits. It gives you access to a lot of different LLM models to work with and to really be proficient at developing with AI. You have to really have a good understanding of what the different models can do. For example, right now, Gemini is the hot ticket. Everybody's all excited about Gemini and Nano Banana and Gemini Pro 3. Personally, I haven't dug into that one yet. I'm a big advocate for Claude. I use Claude for coding and programming, and I use ChatGPT 0.5 high reasoning for document development. So if you're going to go about and try to build files and use AI, you can't just go into ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or say, create me a JSON file for Elementor. It just doesn't work that way. You need to give it some knowledge. You need to educate it a little bit. Give it its what I call its university degree. The easiest way I can describe this, and I use this analogy all the time, is if you go to talk to ChatGPT or Gemini or one of these tools, basically you're talking to the world's biggest library, right? You walk into the world's biggest library of all the knowledge in the world and you say, hey, I need to change the spark plugs in my 1974 Toyota, right? How do I do it? Well, you're talking to the whole library. But if you start your conversation with, hey, you are a Toyota mechanic that specializes in 1974 pickups, do you understand? Enter. It's going to come back and go, yeah, I understand. And basically what you've done is you've narrowed down the library into that section. You're now talking to a mechanic of 1974 Toyotas. So the best thing you can do is initialize your conversation with some information, giving it its knowledge base or the knowledge base you expect it to pull from. So when you're programming with these IDEs, you need a lot of documentation. You need to give it some information to work with. If I go in here and I just say, create me a JSON file for Elementor, but I don't educate it, if I don't give it a foundation to build with, it can go off in a lot of different directions. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to build a little bit of information in the left-hand side here, give it a couple of document files to educate it on what I want to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I've got up here in the other monitor, this is the Elementor development documents. Getting started, the first add-on, what is Elementor? So this is the developer's documents. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that URL. I'm going to go down here and in my chat, like I said, Cursor or VS Studio, they got plugins to do this with. You have to, that's beyond this demonstration. I'm just going to go right into the IDE and how to set up an environment. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I'm going to tell it, I am going to prepare you to build JSON files for Elementor and Elementor Pro, period. To do that, you need to have some proper information, period. I'm going to give you the Elementor developers document website that has all the documentation for Elementor, for the developers, and I want you to go to that website, I want you to scan everything, and I want you to create a training document for yourself that I can put into your working environment so you'll know everything there is to know about Elementor, period. Do you understand? Question mark. Ask me clarifying questions. period. Now that right there is super, super powerful. Do you understand, and ask me clarifying questions? You always want to throw that at the end of your prompting, so it will ask you more questions and then answer those questions and say, ask me more clarifying questions. It'll ask you more questions. Keep asking it to ask you for clarifying questions until it has 100% understanding of what you want, right? So I'm going to drop that in there. I'm not even going to give it the URL yet. I'm just going to ask it if it understands what I want. So now it's going to come back. I'm going to move this over here and make this a little bit bigger while we're doing this, okay? And so we're going to go over here and it says, I understand you'd like me to create training documentation for Elementor development by analyzing Elementor development document. Before we begin, I have a few questions to ensure I create the most useful document for you, okay? Please share the URL. Okay, so I'm going to go here, Control V. There's the URL. That's the first answer. Is there a specific Elementor version you're working with, or should I focus on the latest stable version? So I'm going to go back up here. So the biggest thing about building with AI is educating it before you ask it to program anything. So now we're going to go to, I'm going to say, is there a we always want to develop for the latest version of Elementor, period. Elementor. It's going to understand. I don't even need to do that. 3. Are there specific aspects of Elementor development you're most interested in? For example, widget development, theme building, custom controls. What is the most important piece of this that you want it to understand, right? So right now we're going to just work on theme JSON files. I don't personally understand how someone would use this because I'm not a designer. I'm a developer. Don't ask me to make it look pretty, but I can make it wash the dishes. That's my go-to line there. I can take a design and do anything with it with Elementor. But let's see. So we're going to go with design. So we want to take JSON files from our existing theme and we want to customize them quickly, period. So what I will do is I will give you some JSON files that I've exported from my theme, and I will put them into a knowledge base for you to work with, and we want to be able to create or allow you to create more advanced layouts and designs, but we'll give you some starting pieces to the puzzle, period. Okay, just talk to it just like that, right? So should the training document be structured in any particular way? Tutorial style with examples, API, best practices, and patterns. So I'm going to put it here, I'm going to say, I don't know, comma, you're the expert, period. We want documentation that's going to best help an AI assistant to create the documents that we want, period. If we need to create multiple documents and multiple instruction sets for our AI assistant, then do so, period. Now, I made a mistake. I said we want to create multiple documents, but I put here help an AI assistant to create documents. That's not correct. To create JSON templates that we can import into Elementor. Okay? All right, so number 5. What's the best 5? Oh, yes. And we always want to use best practices and best WordPress and Elementor Pro standards, period. Okay, so I'm going to go number 5. 5. Do you want to include Elementor Pro specific features in this documentation? There's a difference between the free version of Elementor and Elementor Pro, period. Elementor Pro has widgets that are available to the Pro version that aren't available in the free version, period. I would like you to create documentation that distinguishes between the two, period. I would like you to research the Elementor Pro website to find out and learn what plugins and widgets are available for the Pro version that aren't available for the free version, period. Then I would like you to create 2 specific documents to distinguish between those two, period. As we create our documentation, we will also create a README file that will have navigation for our AI assistant to be able to navigate through our different documentation to be able to find what it needs to find, period. Now, for anybody that's curious, I'm using the Windows H key on my Windows machine to be able to talk to it like that. It's pretty slick. I don't even know how to type anymore. Okay, should the document be in a specific format or structured in a way for easy reference? Yes, it needs to be in Markdown. Yes, AI assistants prefer two different types of documentation, period. They prefer high quality Markdown with proper headings and JSON structure. So I've answered its questions. It says, once you provide the details, I'll be able to create a comprehensive training document tailored for your needs. Now, at the end of this, I want to say, are there any more clarifying questions that you need to ask me before you start creating documentation, period? Right now, we are in an investigatory mode just to investigate and create proper documentation, period. Now, if you'll notice, I'm in code mode. Code mode, they can start writing code whenever they want. If I'm in the chat mode, he's only going to chat with me, and at some point in time, he'll say, put me into code mode, or he'll want me to, or he'll try to start writing code. It depends on the model. Now, the model that I'm using right here, SWE, I should have touched on this. SWE is a free model from Windsurf. It's their own model. Right now, we're just having a little bit of a conversation, and I haven't started asking it to create the actual documentation. Now, to send this reply, I'm going to change it to GPT 5.1 High Reasoning. It's currently free in Windsurf, and it is a much better model for creating documentation because it's going to really think through everything that we want, and it's going to reason back and forth on what we're going to need and what we're not going to need and things like that. So I'm going to switch over to high reasoning. I'm going to go ahead and send this off, and it's actually now out there. Maybe not yet. Maybe it's going to look for more questions. Here it's telling me how it's thinking. I need to reply to the user about creating documentation before we proceed. Okay, given very clear goals, this is a great foundation. I'll first set up a small task plan. So it's planning right now on exactly what we've asked it to do. So I'm going to just let this go and talk a little bit. Again, before you start programming and writing stuff, you really want to build out some documentation. If you're going to try to do JSON files and build templates for Elementor, don't do it in a chat interface. You can use the Claude, you can go to claude.ai, and it has the I forget what it's called. The view on the right hand side, it will create you JSON files. There's another way to do it with Claude, connecting to GitHub, connecting some files together from GitHub into Claude, creating projects. There is another way there's 100 ways to do this. I'm just showing you the way that I do this and the way I work because I find it the easiest. So let's see, what have we got going on here? Okay, so we got a whole bunch of output here. Let me see what we got. All right, so understood. We're in investigatory planning mode to design high quality documentation. I have some targeted clarifying questions. Theme stack. Which theme are you using? Hello, Astra, a custom. If you give it all of this information, it's going to understand how to build for you, right? So I'm going to go with the Hello theme. I have a dummy site set up with the Hello theme. So we're going to go, number one, we're using Hello by Elementor. I can't type, okay? 2, what's the next one? Template types and scope. Which Elementor template types should we focus on? Okay, so you got what? You got the full page, you've got the section, you've got, there's the different pieces to the template, right? So what are page templates, section templates, theme parts, a mix? Roughly how many JSON files do you expect to provide? Dozens, hundreds, right? How clean are they, right? You got to give it some information, right? It's got to know what you really want, right? So again, I haven't thought about doing this. I just know, like I said, I've done this with HTML, so it should be able to be done with JSON files in Elementor, right? So let's give it a shot here. So template types, let's just go with pages. Okay, we're just going to go with pages to keep it simple. theme builder, header, footer, single, pages. We're going to use the template builder in Elementor, period. We already have our header, we have our footer. We just want to create pages to go in between, period. Okay, so 3. What's the next one? Pop-ups, do you want all of the above covered? Oh, do we want all of this stuff covered? Actually, let's do that. Let's build a whole system. If we're going to do this, let's build a system, right? So we would like documentation that properly documents and guides our AI assistant to build any one of these pieces to this puzzle, period. We understand we're building a huge document library, but we want to have very thorough documentation and guidance for our AI assistant to help us build any of these pieces to this puzzle, period. Okay, so let's go to number 3. Your existing, oh, that's actually part 1, 1, 2. Okay, existing kind of exports you'll provide. The JSON files you'll add to the repo, are they mostly page templates or a mix? Let's see. I don't need to number these. They'll be fine. I will provide you a mix of JSON files, period. I will also provide you the Elementor Hello theme, period. Because you can do that. So in this particular case, I'm just using, I have a folder, I have a folder on my computer that's linked to this Elementor JSON files folder. There's nothing in it, but I can put it in there, right? You can download these things and put it in there. Give it all of the pieces that it needs, right? So we'll give it those puzzles. Elementor theme, I'll provide you a mix of files. I'll also provide you the Elementor Hello theme. Okay, what else have we got going on here? How clean are they? JSON exports already good examples of your best practices design, or do they contain experimental legacy outputs? Should not treat as a patterns if a mix, preferred versus avoid. So I'm going to go, I will give you an up-to-date theme import for Elementor, period. You'll have good files to work with. Give it the good stuff. Don't mess around, right? Don't waste your time in theirs. All right. Scope. Content versus structure versus styling. When should the AI mainly focus on structure? Okay. We are going to focus on structure, and you can use ipsum lorem in the appropriate places, and you can also use placehold.co for any images, period. So if you don't know what placehold.co is, it's a place where you can use links to create images, and that's for something else another time, but look it up if you need it. Okay. Dynamic. Should docs explicitly cover dynamic tags? Nah, we're not going to get into all that. Query loops. Nah, we don't need to do all that right now. WooCommerce? No. Okay, so we're just going to keep it simple. No, we're just going to keep it simple, period. If you want to create go ahead and create a document that has to do with the posts widget and some query loop type stuff, period. Right now, we're just creating documentation and education for our AI builder to help us build JSON files. Okay. Free versus pro. Target, will you always have Elementor Pro active on the sites where these templates are used, or do you need 2 operation modes for the AI? Okay, let's go for it. We need 2 operation modes for our AI, period. In some cases, our clients will not want to pay for the Pro version of Elementor, so we will only have the free version, period. All right. Let's go to an output preparation. 1 main JSON generated document plus separate free only docs rules pro, 2 parallel full documents. I'm going to let you decide that, period. We will have a main README file that will lead and direct our AI agent through the documentation as needed to build our JSON files, period. All right, so let's go number 9. How will the AI access the document? They will live in this repository, period. This will be our main repository to build out for each individual client, period. We will put each client and each website project into a folder within this main folder that we're working in right now, period. All right, 10. What's the next one? Navigation file count. Do you prefer a small number of large documents, well structured, or many small documents per template, referenced by a central README? Okay. Again, you're the professional. I'm going to leave this up to you, period. We want efficient, thorough documentation that can be easily maintained and navigated by our AI assistant, period. Number 11, style and rules. For the instructions for AI portions, do you want explicit, do not use rules, always set responsive breakpoints? Okay, so we specific rules. So if you like to build with multiple breakpoints, this is where you want to tell it. Yeah, I do breakpoints at 740 or 760 or 1080 or whatever they are, and tell it. Give it some specific instructions. Okay. I don't use any breakpoints outside of the Elementor default breakpoints. Period. We do not want our AI to stray from that philosophy. Period. Those should be set in stone. Period. Okay. I don't want the AI to stray. Right. Okay. Concrete JSON files. Okay. So let's go. Each project folder will have its own branding within it, period, i.e. color scheme, logos, etc., period. Right? You're going to have those things, right? You got to let it know what it needs to know, right? What's number 12? Design system branding. Do you have a color typography system, global colors like primary, etc., or do you want AI to use those consistently? So this is where you need to tell the AI, are you using global colors? Are you using the proper templating features of Elementor? Are you adding colors at every little element? Are you manually coloring every widget? So those are things you need to tell the AI how you build, right? I'm going to tell it, I don't even remember how my dummy theme is set up, but I'm going to tell it to use global Elementor styling so we can change the structure, we can change things at the global level. Okay. We're going to use global Elementor styling such as the colors and the fonts and things like that, period. Do not hard code any colors into our templates, period. Always pull from the Elementor styles, period. Okay. Number 13, any hard rules should be baked into the documents. Yep. No inline CSS unless absolutely necessary based on a spec requirement as we are building, period. Always build mobile first. My max section width should be 1920 by 1080, period. Avoid certain widgets entirely. Do not use the text editor widget, period. Never use the text editor widget, period. There are multiple different widgets that can be used instead, such as the heading or title widget, period. Always make sure that you are using proper H tags throughout, period. The page title in WordPress is the H1 tag, period. If you use the page title widget in a page, always make sure that that's the only H1 tag, period. Use proper H2, H3, etc. hierarchy when building the page for best SEO practices, period. Makes sense, I'm sure? Answer these questions. Okay, so now let's go further. Here's my detailed answer. Do you have any more questions for me? Question mark. Change this over to chat mode. You are in chat mode, period. If you have enough information, let me know and I will switch you to code mode so you can create our documentation, period. What else would you like to know? Question mark. Oh, I didn't get it all. Do you have any? There we go. That's all right. Here are my detailed questions. All right, so I'm going to let it go and I'm going to build the documentation. Educate your AI so it knows what to do, right? Keep on going, right? All right, you've given excellent concrete constraints. Now I'll ask a couple of final narrow questions and start scanning the Elementor docs. Okay, so it's going to scan the documentation Tailor for your setup. I'll bring back a draft doc, some examples. Okay. So it's searched Elementor Com for the Pro widgets list versus that. So it's searching all of this stuff to get that information, and it'll start. Well, in a minute, I guess it'll ask me to switch to code mode, and we'll see what happens. Boom! Look at that. All right, what do we got? So, got it. Your constraints are clear and very helpful. I'll ask a few final narrow questions, and my next step will be to propose concrete documentation. Confirmation, theme, hello. Focus, structured for layout first. Use ipsum lorem ipsum. Okay, I said it backwards. Placeholder for images. Always use Elementor global styles for colors and typography, never hardcode. Breakpoints, only Elementor, widgets, CSS, no inline. So this is what it understands, right? If any of this is off, correct me now. This repo is the main knowledge base. Each client sites will live in its own subfolder with its own branding and assets. Final template export format scope. When the AI generates JSON templates, which of these do you want to support now versus later? Now, priority single page templates and section templates as exported, imported via Elementor's priority single page templates and section templates as exported, imported, later site kits. Oh, we make site kits, full site kits, right? I suggest starting with page and template. Okay, number one, we're going to start with single page templates and section templates to get started with, period. And in phase 2, we'll work on site kits, period. All right, number 2, allow text content widgets besides the text. To be explicit for the rules doc, which of these are allowed as general text widgets? Heading, title, text path, HTML, minimal use, shortcode, only when needed? Or do you want stricter, like for body copy, use only heading and maybe other? Yes. I guess we might have to use. I hate that text widget. For body copy. Okay, so I guess you're going to have to be able to use that. Let's set this rule, comma. There will be no styling within the text editor itself, period. The text editor can only be styled by the Elementor style settings, period. Do not embed images or any other paraphernalia within the text editor, period. That is a pain in the butt. Don't do it. Just stay away from it. Okay, so number 3, template naming convention. Should we define a standard template convention for the AI? For example, client slug page purpose, Acme homepage hero, Acme service archive. Perfect. Something else. Okay, 3. Use your recommendation, period. Okay. Oh, stop. Too fast. Stop. Let's go back. Okay. Where are we at? For client structure, clients, client slug branding, clients, client slug templates. Yes, that's a good way to do that. Okay, where are we at? Where are we at here? 4. Okay, 4. Yes, that's a good structure, period. What do we got here? 5. Yes, I'll encode to read be perfect. Language, should the placeholder copy be English, US by default, or something else? I'm going to say English because it's English, so I'm going to say yes, English should be the default, period. 6. What do we got here? Any preference for date, format, structure, English default, and use US date. Okay, what else have we got? Draft, one final answer, draft a document map for this repo map, global core rules, etc., plus some JSON rules that encode constraints. Show you that structure and sample section heading so you can approve or tweak before start. Okay, one more time. Once you answer these, I will. It's going to draft all of this. Okay, now we're going to tell it, you are in code mode, period. Go write the documentation for us. Switch it to code mode. I'll probably have to pause the video. I'm going to hit Control Enter and let her do its thing. I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Oh, wait, maybe not. We'll watch it for a little bit. Maybe I'll speed it up if necessary. But that way you can see the file creation process. So what do we got here? Let's go up. We got user wants me to write documentation. It means I need to create. Okay, I'll start by scanning your repo. So don't overwrite existing files. There's nothing in the repo. Pulling key Elementor docs from the web, creating a set of minimal JSON files. I'll give the structure small but extensible wire. everything together. Beautiful. So now, so in these IDEs, you can give them tools to go outside of the IDE. It's called an MCP. And the MCPs in Windsurf, what I have connected is I have fetch, so it can go out and it'll grab, it's reading the website, fetching the content, parsing it, reading through it. File system, it's red, it's not connected, which gives it access to read files on my computer. MCP Playwright allows it to navigate. It'll open up the Chrome browser and navigate as you're building something. It can navigate and look at different things. Memory, it stores memories of our conversation. MongoDB, it's connected to one of my databases for one of our projects. And sequential thinking, this will make it think in order as it's developing more complex tools. So that's just a little bit about MCPs. Windsurf has rules. Memories here. So there's no memories in this particular environment. There's no global rules or project rules, but you can really get into customizing and really giving the tool a lot of brains, right? And a lot of tools, a lot of things it can do. So it's still doing its thing here. We haven't stopped anything. It's created that README file, which is right here. We'll go ahead and move this over as it's working. It's not going to stop. And you can see that it's green because it's a new document, and this is the edits that it's made. So edit JSON element AI Assistant. This repository is a knowledge base for AI assistants to generate Elementor JSON templates for WordPress sites built with the Hello theme and Elementor theme. This is the focus is on. All documentations written in Markdown. So this is the README, and then it's going to, from here, so it's going to create more documents. So here's a docs folder where it's created some core rules. These are the rules for the AI to follow, right? Phase one, this is theme and platform assumptions, a hello theme. It's giving it all of its brains. We're building the university education for our AI assistant. Elementor mode, free versus pro. It's got all the information. If the mode is unknown, default to free. Clearly note any explanation. Clarity widgets are grouped as followed. Basic widgets. So it's building stuff. Let's see where we're at. Now here's some Elementor JSON templates. Is it going to create those for us as well? So here's the rules. These are the basic widgets that are available. We're building a full, we're building a full architecture. It's building a full architecture to build Elementor design and website stuff. So we could probably at some point in time just go grab a screenshot, drag it over, put it in here and say, hey, go build this in Elementor. Here's what it looks like. And it's going to have all of the brains to do that. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking, let it do its thing, and we'll come back when it's done. Okay, so I'm going to pop back in here. We got an error editing this JSON template. So let's see what it says. I started to actually create the initial documentation files in your repo, concise but structured README core rule files in subsequent short steps so we don't hit timeout limits again. Okay, Cast cannot create because it already exists. All right, so what are we retrying to do some things here? I'll first inspect what already exists in the Elementor JSON files. We don't. Oh, that's the folder itself. So it's reanalyzing where it's at. Runs into an error. Something else to be aware of. There's context limits. So this AI GPT 5.1 has a 400,000 token limit, which is about 300,000 words. To make it simple to understand, 4 tokens is a word, or 4 letters is a token. I think it's 4 letters is a token, approximately, depending on which LLM you look at. But that's just an easy way to try to understand. So about 300,000 words is what GPT 5.1 can remember. And it'll start running into errors. It happens. They hallucinate. You deal with it, right? So right now, it's going back and figuring it out. And it's troubleshooting on its own. This is 5.1 high reasoning. If I was to try to do what we're doing here with Claude Opus 4.5, which is a great great coder. However, it gets too ambitious and it'll screw things up too. Sonnet is a little better in my opinion. Opus is the higher standard. It's much smarter, but it goes too far. Sonnet is supposedly like one token less, I mean, one step back from Opus, but in my opinion, it works better. And I use Claude Opus and Sonnet. Not here. I use it through the IDE, whole different tutorial if you want to get into doing that. It's about $100 a month to do it that way. This I'm getting free usage from Windsurf. I'm not using any of my credits. I have 94 credits left from my add-on. For $10, you can add on some more credits. But segue, let's go back. Squirrel. Okay, so where are we at here? So now if you'll look, there's a whole bunch of documents over here. It actually went through and figured it out, right? Summary core documentation is done. Let's just take a quick look. Core rules, no breakpoints, containers, prefer Elementor, current commands, Elementor JSON structure. Have we got a JSON file in here? Use the JSON as a base. Use that JSON as a base reference. Oh, we got a schema here. Oh, there's our JSON. Oh, cool. So description, global configuration, max length, width, template policy, modes, pro, widget groups. What do we got here? Ooh, that could be cool. Let's try something. I'm gonna just grab. Nah, not yet. We'll play with that later. So widget basics and layouts. So we've got some documentation here. Okay, I haven't given it anything yet. I haven't given it WordPress. I haven't given it any design files. Maybe I don't even need to. We'll try it without it, right? So I'm going to go back over into my chat here and I'm going to ask it, what other documentation does it need? First, I'm going to accept all of this. Okay. Now, remember, my context window is only 400,000. So I have this big, long context going on here, and I really don't need that anymore because we have the files already over here on the left-hand side. That's just what's open up here in the editor. So we've got these files already in the left. So I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to clear the memory so I don't have that 400,000, 300,000 words in my way. Okay. So, okay. I would like you to analyze our documentation for building Elementor JSON files, and I want you to tell me if there's anything we can do to improve it, period. Is there anything missing? Question mark. You're in chat mode only so we can have this conversation, period. We don't want to over-optimize, but we definitely don't want to leave anything out, period. Should these files be broken into smaller pieces, or are they at an optimal length for our AI assistant? Question mark. Okay, so ask me any clarifying questions that you might need, period. Okay, so now we're going to let it go build some documentation for us. Go check out. It's reading the documentation. I didn't quite. There's a way to make it read faster, but there's only a few documents there, so we'll just let it do its thing. I've reviewed the document, looking for gaps and confusing spots, and then suggest concrete improvements plus topics that seem to be missing. I'll also ask you a focused set of clarifying questions. So now it's reading the documentation and doing its thing, and I'm just going to let it go. Boom, now it's scanning really fast. Okay. I've reviewed the documentation done some minute. The user is looking for structural feedback, improvement ideas, so I need to ask a few clarifying questions. Okay. Also, I'll add validation, checklist, and troubleshooting section for JSON errors. I think improving the mapping between widget names and their corresponding L type and widget type keys in JSON is essential. Okay, so here's some essential information for our AI assistant to help us build Elementor kits, right? Elementor kits. All right, here we go. Overall, coverage is strong between the README core rules, etc. Global constraints. You cover the modes. Conceptual orientation is clear. Consistently speak to AI assistants. Emphasize not hallucinating. Great. Copy from real exports. We'll give it some exports. Main gaps are more concrete examples, a validation testing story, and a slightly clear how to use these docs in practice for someone new. Okay. Quick start path, potential improvements missing for a new consumer of the repo. Right now you have a good checklist, But you could make a short, opinionated day one flow. What you are, who this is for, minimal steps. Okay. Some concrete JSON examples alongside conceptual description. Conceptual by design, which is good, but many systems and humans will benefit from at least one minimal template, one minimal section. Excellent, excellent. Validation testing workflows. There's no explicit how do I do. Okay, perfect. So now what I want to do, I want it to create a plan to improve our documentation. I'm going to ask it to go get some free templates off the website, off the internet. I'm not going to go into WordPress. I'm not going to go into Elementor. I'm not going to go look and try to get them myself. My AI assistant can do it for me. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. All right, this will finish up here. Boom, boom. There's a whole lot of stuff there. Clarifying questions, primary audience. Okay, let's answer some more questions. Are the docs mainly for LL automations, or do you also expect human developers and designers to read and follow them when hand editing? No. These are strictly for AI and automation developers using LLMs, period. These are for Elementor developers that are used to drag and drop, period. They're not used to writing code, period. Okay, we're going to leave that at that. Current pain points. What are the pain points? We have no pain points at this point in time, period. We are building this from the ground up, and we are building a system to create Elementor kits eventually, but we're starting with pages and sections, period. I am going to want you to go out and find some free JSON templates from some well-respected Elementor developers that have free template kits out there in the modern world, period. Give me a half a dozen URLs that I can go look at before I tell you which ones to grab, period. Right? Does that make sense? Does it make sense what we're doing here? Okay, so wrong widget choices, we don't have that problem. Tolerance, for example, are you comfortable with adding real importable? We already answered that. So, okay, buddy just joined my chat room, so I might have to kick off of this in a minute. Automation pipeline. Do you have a plan or a tooling pipeline for this repost scripts generator? If yes, I can suggest doc changes. So we haven't built an N8N automation. We haven't built any other types of automations. We're just doing this in our IDE. We're going to keep this simple. So we're going to build strictly based on chat. So we're strictly going to use tools like Windsurf IDE / Cursor IDE / Visual Studio Code IDE to build this, and we're going to use a chat interface and screenshots. So we're going to go screenshot a website, give you a screenshot, and ask you to rebuild this in Elementor with Elementor Pro widgets or without Pro widgets or whatever the case may be, period. Okay, one more here. Let's go. Client level customizations. How do the client rules specify and vary? How much do client-specific rules vary? Today, would standard client config template be useful, or do you already have an internal pattern? We don't have any of this yet. Phase of 1 is, for now, no theme builder, headers and footers, no full site kits. 6, we're just doing pages. We're just doing pages at this point in time, period. However, we want this to be a full, complete system to build site kits eventually, period. We will break some of this down into phase 1 and phase 2, period. We'll leave that up to you, period. And I'm going to hit go and let it do its thing. Okay, so I just had to check in with Antonio. He's in the other developer room. We're working on another project together, but I want to jump back in here. So here's some good sources for free Elementor template kits that we can work with. That's what I asked it for. Envato, we're not free compatible with Elementor. Analog. If you tell me which of these you'd like, Katka plus Elementor library or Templately. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to use containerized versions of Elementor widgets. We don't want the old sections and columns. We want containers. So I'm going to let it know that. We do not want any of the old style templates. We want containerized templates. The old school templates were columns and sections, so we want to stay away from that, period. Go find 5 JSON files that we can import, go, and let it do. So we want to let it know that kind of stuff, right? And it'll go find us 5 JSON files. See, it seems it might want actual JSON template exports that utilize containers. I can't be certain about content, so I'll need to be transparent. So it's not going to be able to read those files until we get those files, right? So maybe we'll have it look at published dates. I'll look at modern element exports that use new container, not legacy, and shared publicly as JSON. Boom, there's some GitHub. GitHub's got some good stuff on it as well. If user wants 5 JSON files, boom, look at that. You want 5 actual JSON files. Developers, Elementor. What do we got here? All right, developer, where's this at? Where's that taking me? That's taking me to the Elementor Developers Guide. Okay. Wow, okay. What do we got? All right, I'll come back when this is done. Okay, so I'm going to let this thing record some more. So, to see, I need to provide 5. Whoa, holy smokes, Batman. So it's given me the JSON files. Like I told you, it started writing code, right? Here's the JSON files. I'm in chat mode. So what I'm going to do, instead of me hitting copy, go create it, I'm going to flip it to code mode. And I'm going to say, you've been put into code mode, period. Create a folder for these, or put them in the schema folder wherever you think it is appropriate for them to be for our AI assistant to be able to access them, period. Boom. Okay, so we're going to let it do that. I'll add the 5 JSONs in your schema. Oh no, examples into your repos, importable templates, placing them in an examples folder from schema, which is for configs. I'll name them descriptively so your AI can target them easily. Here's some examples. There's a single page example, container, single page, some nesteds, right? Pop up. So it's creating all of those for me, right? Fantastic. So I'm gonna wind this video down. We're at 51 minutes. It's going to be about an hour before we're really done. But we're just going to create documentation here. I hope this is very helpful and educational. And then we will go and I'll go and put this into play. I'm not going to have time to create that video right this second. But we will create that video. We will use this. I will use this and create some examples for you. And I will upload this into the GitHub repository, make it available to you. So you'll have all these documents. And now you know a little bit more about how to prompt maybe and things like that. So let's see. Let's get this finalized. So, all right. If yes, let's see. What do we got? Let me read this. Here's what I've done. Everything lives. I've added a new folder, single content, 2 containers, nested. Boom, boom, boom. Use containers only, contain no legacy, follow documentation, minimal skeleton templates, how your AI can use them. Beautiful. Base shapes for simple layouts, standard containers, priority versus client templates. For real work, AI should still prefer client. So what we do here, what you would do here is after all this documentation is built, you would create a, not in the schema, you would go here into this one and then you would go new folder. There we go. We go clients, boom, and then there we would go Tom, and then we would go Bob, and oops, backwards. Undo that. Yeah, okay, undo that. And then we go clients again and go Bob. And now we've got a couple of clients. And in here you would go, you would create assets. And that's where you would put their logos and things like that. Assets. Boom. And then in the assets, you would, like I said, logos. And then you would put, for example, maybe an MD file that says branding, colors. And now you have, and then you might go images, right? So under assets, then you would put the logo, etc., and that's how you would structure that for different clients. So let's see. Let me finish here. Do you want me to add a short examples section in the points AI assistance to examples? Yes. Okay. So update our README documentation so our AI assistant knows exactly where to find all the pieces to the puzzle that he or she needs, period. I've also created a client folder with some dummy clients named Bob and Tom, period. Let it go do that. I'll update the README so an AI can see step by step where to find the global docs. This is the README, and in here, it will build this it will tell it where it needs to find everything, right? So um, docs, Elementor mode, free versus pro. This details the rules, right? So this is it. This is what we've got so far. I'm gonna take it one more step. Let's see. Let's finish this up. Where are we at? Bada bada bada. Drafting repository patch updates. I'm structuring a patch to clarify patch. Okay, I'll update the README to point folder structure. Now it's updating it. Okay. If no client template exists, use the base container examples as safe. Okay, so in your client folder, you could also put, you know, some JSON files that you've exported from their existing theme, right? So you export Elementor's styling. There we go. My mistake. My bad. The Elementor styles. Give it the styles sheet in here, and it'll follow that styles sheet as well, right? So, all right, let's see where we at. Um, Repository global flow, where to look first, understand elements. So the AI now has explicit fallback when a client has no templates yet. I think you get the idea of what we've done here, what we're doing. Clients, the existing explanation of client folder remains, clients, logos, brands, guideline colors, etc. How this ties together for the AI. Suggested next refinement, optional. If you'd like to tighten this even more, use a good next step would be to define the expected format of files such as JSON, YAML, key value, etc. A short note in README explaining how the AI should parse and use client brand. Okay, so branding assets, you might use a JSON file. I get it. I get it. We'll take that the next step in the next video if we need to. If you tell me what format you want for branding colors, I can add a small spec for it. Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead and create some JSON files for our test clients that would be beneficial for our AI assistant period. We want to use best WordPress practices and AI practices so the AI LLM understands what we're doing here, period. Remember, I said that JSON files and Markdown files are LLMs eat those for lunch. So to put the structure of the assets on how to find the client. So in the assets, you wouldn't upload the client's image into the asset file, into that JSON. You wouldn't upload their image. You would go to the JSON file and put the URL to their asset on their website, right? So here it's going to create something for us. It'll give us a JSON file with colors. It'll create some dummy stuff. And it'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and accept all of these. And like I said, I'll upload this into GitHub for you and share that GitHub repository. So slug, what do we got here? Tom, Bob, boom. Okay, so we got some new files. See, so here we got the color palette, Elementor global handles, notes, branding. That's the branding colors. Okay, so it put it in a JSON file versus this. I just created an MD file is what I did there, so I'll just delete that. Markdown file was the wrong brand of file for that. Branding colors, there's a config file. Sample config, layouts, containers, very good. Branding colors, excellent. And it put that in both in Tom and Bob. Add their images such as their branding logo, their icon, and any other miscellaneous pieces that they might need, period. Also, SEO is super important, period. Rank Math and Yoast handle certain aspects of SEO. However, there's also some SEO stuff incorporated into Elementor templates such as the H1, H2, H3 tags. So we need to make sure that any Elementor schema that gets included is included when we build them, period. Such as an FAQ module adds FAQ schema if Rank Math's not doing it or Yoast isn't doing it, things like that, period. So let's address those as well while we're here and get that knocked out as well. Okay, so let's add that in there. Excellent, excellent. So it noticed some other things, right? So here's the thoughts. It noticed, oh, and I can't forget that SEO is super important. FAQ module, plus also it mentioned the accordion and things like that, the different widgets. Yeah, okay. Update SEO, very good, very good. I'll add per client JSON for branding, images, and SEO settings. So it's adding those. There's some SEO JSON, right? So this is just information for our AI. So what you would do for this, if you were doing this on your own, is you would go in here and tweak these for yourself. So if you're using rank math, change that to rank math, right? Give it the information that it needs. All right, so what do we got? Bunch of branding, image manifests. Let's see what we got here, right? So there's the images. Now you would change this. I would change this to the full URL structure of the images. I wouldn't try to use it without the www HTTPS, you know, the website before it. I would go in there and put that in there. And then, yeah, hard code your client image in there, hard code the alt logo, or hard code this some of this stuff in there, right? What do we got? Bob's Path branding, etc. Beautiful global core rules. Always provide medium alt text for branding, content images, right? So now it just more instructions, right? And I'm going to take this one more level, and then I got to get off here because I got my buddy waiting for me here. So we're going to do one more thing here. Okay. So now we've got a whole bunch of stuff built here, right? There's one more thing that you can do, and this is pretty cool and key as well. So we've got this whole structure here, right? I'm going to go new here, right? I'm going to go new. I'm going to say, if you examine our project here, you'll notice that we're building a system to create Elementor JSON files for theming and template building and things like that, and building Elementor site kits, etc. Period. I want you to skim through our documentation and see what we've got going on here, and then I want you to recommend AI agent assistants that we can build to help our main AI project manager build out our kits, our template kits, period. A CSS expert, question mark, a HTML expert, question mark, a validation expert, question mark. Those are just examples, period. Tell me what type of team of AI agents I should put together to create template kits, right? You want to give it all the education and tools that you can give it. 6 to 10 roles, map them to relevant documents. AI project manager, I might not need tool calls since it seems conceptual. Planning the design process. You're building a rule-heavy knowledge base for AI that generates element with phase 2 expanding into full site kits. I'll propose a concrete team of specialized AI agents around your existing main AI project manager and map each role to the documents config you already have. Boom, look at that. It's going to build us a team. It's going to build a team of developers, right? I'll also update the internal to-do list. It has an internal to-do list. Design. Okay, what do we got? Designing AI specialist team. Boom, 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 boom. Proposing specialized agents. Kit composition agent. Focusing on grouping templates. What else? Ooh, look at that. Bada boom, boom, boom. All right, so what do we got? We've got a central orchestrator, project manager, single entry point, takes user's brief. I need a SaaS homepage kit for Bob. Breaks it into template sections and calls the specialist. Rules and context specialists. Client and mode config analyst. Turns project context into hard code constraints. Reads the schema, AI config, holy cow. Template design specialist. HTML, CSS, widget, mode, branding, global style. Branding applies branding global style logic, not hard-coded CSS. Content and copywriting structure, JSON and template correction, CSS and motion safety guard, SEO and accessibility reviewer. Look at that. Template and JSON validator. And these are all, now what? The kit level specialist, phase 2. How they work together, summary. If you like The next step, I can draft concrete prompt system messaging skeletons for 2 to 3 of these agent layout architecture directly aligned with your document. I want you to go build this entire team, period. I want you to add one more specialist I did not see, period. I want you to add a UI UX expert for modern web development as of 2025-2026, period. I'm going to hit Control Enter. I'm going to let it go do its thing. I'm going to call it an end of the day to the video, and I will upload all of this to GitHub, and I hope it's been helpful. Have a great day, and happy developing, guys. Peace out.